time. So this discussion is on genetics, the role in genetics in healthcare. It's definitely gotten a lot bigger because of recent advancements. It's been able to play a part in identifying people who have genes that code for disorders and diseases. So we are able to look at people's genetic code and see if they have their predisposition to get breast cancer or Alzheimer's, or if they're at risk for their children having cystic fibrosis and things like that. So it's been great on that front. That prepares people, gives them kind of know what to expect in their future. But a lot of people also don't want to know. But I think with that, with the public knowing that we can test for these things and identify them, that there's also an expectation that we'll be able to fix it, which isn't always the case. And with genetics, there's also a huge ethical portion. There are researchers at Harvard Medical School, and I'm sure lots of other places, that are working on identifying parts in the genetic code that have the, I guess, negative genes, like the ones that code for cystic fibrosis, Alzheimer's, things like that, and they're working on being able to remove those genes and adding in positive genes so that they won't be affected with the negative problem, which is great. You know, you're a parent, you and your spouse both have the cystic fibrosis genes, and there's a high chance that your child will have cystic fibrosis. You're able to go in with the cells or the embryo and remove those genes that code for the cystic fibrosis, and your baby isn't going to get cystic fibrosis anymore. But there's also talk of designer babies, babies that their parents specifically designed them, say, as in choosing if they had their hair color, their eye color, athletic ability, and coding for those things. So it's a question of how far is too far with the genetic coding. And media is huge with everything, and I think the media tends to give the public high expectations for what the medical world is able to do just with everything. So for treating and screening genetic disorders, the media is going to put the idea that we can screen for everything, treat for everything, everything's going to be fine. With Angelina Jolie's, it gave a lot of press and publicity for the breast cancer gene, getting a double mastectomy to significantly lower your risks of getting the breast cancer. But what the public needs to keep in mind or be aware of is that helped her because she had the gene, not because she just was at a risk of getting breast cancer, but she had an extraordinarily high chance of it. I think the public a lot of the times misses the facts because of the media, and they're not fully educated. But as far as genetics go, there's pros and cons, and there's definitely going to be a lot of ethical issues come up in the future with what is appropriate and not appropriate to code for. So, yeah.